If you could pick one activity to do while you were on an isolated island for a week, what would it be? Would it be Lego? Would it be drawing supplies? Would it be, let's see. Would it be something like book or a game? What would keep you occupied? What would you want to do? One of the things that I think about when I'm on an island and I have nothing else except water, sand, okay, can do some of those activities, right? But what's going to occupy my time? Am I just going to veg out? I saw a recent graphic, a cartoon that said meditating, and it had this picture of a brain with sunglasses sitting on a chair at the beach. Well, you can only meditate so much. You can only go and say, boom, that's it, that's my day. You're going to get bored. Why are we going to get bored? Because we have this need to be creative. At least most of us do. Here's another question. Which would you rather do? Sit on a chair and veg out, or actually do something outside? See, we have this need within us to be creative. Now, some people, if you go to the Wikipedia, you're going to see a lot of articles or a lot of studies about how to measure creativity, but it's an important part. Hi, Lisa. Welcome to the interview. Welcome to the call. Welcome to your future. Are you going to be creative, or are you going to sit there and say, well, I just want to watch TV? Or, we always criticize the kids. Oh, they just sit on the chair and watch TV or watch games. They're just playing constantly the games. Not with anybody, just themselves. Or they'll, create this big network of people, and they'll be, playing the game, and everybody's in the same game, and they're trying to destroy each other. Try to work with a team to destroy another group. Or race around the track, whatever it may be. But what is it? Is it we're creating something, or are we just allowing something to be created for us? One of the things that I think about when I think about leadership is how creative is the team? How creative is the leader? Is the leader just a pencil checker? We do this, we did that, we did this, we did that, and then out you go, time's up, let's go. Or does the leader step back and say, okay, we have this problem, we have this need, we have this shirt, and we're tired of stripes, and we want to go something different. What do we do? What do we say? What are the things that we're going to do? What are the things that we're going to allow that team to do? Dr. Henry Cloud in Boundaries for Leaders says, the leader creates and allows the activities within. So we create the boundary and we say, okay, this is the rule you operate within. And then we police it or manage it or make sure that, it is working as we intend. So if you give your team all that, are they being creative, or are they just checking off and saying, well, okay, I'm going to spend 20 minutes on this and on to the next thing. Or I got 15 things at the same time. I don't know what I'm going to do. And they just sit there, or I hate problem solving. How many times have we as children taken a book or taken drawing, pencil, paper, and created a world? How creative are we in the things we do? Do we just go and say, well, it's good enough, and to take this prepackaged product for lunch and we're off? Or do we create something? Do we take food? When you watch the Food Network, if you do, I think you do, I know you do, because I see you working on it right now. Is it food that you're working for? Is it food that you're working for to create something different? Or is it something else? I'm standing here kind of up in the air because, if you looked at most of my videos, I'm sitting at the desk. And then we can't be as creative, right? We're just sitting there. So now I'm bobbing and you're going to get all dizzy from these lines. But bear with me. There's many things that we think about. But that idea has to come first. One of the things I was looking at in Wikipedia as I was thinking about this and trying to get some additional background, when we were in the times of Plato, they thought creativity just didn't matter. Creativity was considered imitation. It was already out there, and all we're doing is drawing something that was already out there. We aren't creating anything new, and that's what we're called to do as leaders. We're called to create new solutions, new activities, new ideas, to always bring it and stretch it forward, and not just copy somebody else and try to reverse engineer it and create, how many flavors of Frappuccino do you need? Or, how many other shops are creating something similar? Starbucks stole it from somebody else and tried to do the same thing. What's different? What's going to be that new idea? We're always asking about that new idea. So some people have called it, the 4 C's, and they go from mini to big C. So there's this range. It depends on the creativity level. Well, what are the things that we're doing to take an idea, let it incubate, then improve it, and bring it forward? So I ask you, okay, enough with the standing. I ask you, what are you doing to make a difference in your team? What are you doing to make a difference in your life? So one of that creativity is, what are we doing inside ourselves to grow ourselves, to make ourselves feel better, to change our world? If you don't change the way you do it, you're going to get the same results, it's been said. I'm thinking about these ideas and about information sharing. And I'm thinking about, Napoleon Hill writes about this, but it was a creation based on what was already going on, what could be used as a tool to get further along, to get those ideas that each individually would not happen. When you put people together in a room and you tell them, here's the idea, or here's the problem, don't come out until you solve it. Or on a jury, don't come out until you have, met the test. And everybody has their ideas, but when you look at it and say, okay, I'm thinking this, I'm thinking that, I'm thinking this, and you go around the table and everybody tells what they're thinking, and sooner or later, you're going to get to a point where you actually put out the question, okay, so which one is the right idea, or which one's the best idea? And then you say, well, you start rating them and saying, well, 50% of this one is this one's an okay idea, or this one's a good idea, this one's a better idea, and you just go and rate them all, and then you say, okay, here's our top 3. And then you say, well, that doesn't quite answer the problem, or it doesn't solve it all the way, or, we can launch it, but it's not going to be that good. So if you think about taking that idea up higher, John Maxwell and other great thinkers have this notion of they need people to weigh in, because you're only as smart as you know. And others have ideas that can take your idea, or as a group, when you discuss it, you banter it around and you look at it from all directions, you start saying, yes, this is a great idea. This is better than anything else that we would have come up on our own. Or better yet, if we didn't as a group get together in this area, this environment that allows us to be creative, we would have never come up with the idea that we did. And you can go back to some of the products that we currently use that are life-changing, and they wouldn't have been what they are today if people hadn't been in a room or in a place that they could be creative. So leaders use and leverage creativity to go further. Because if you think about going up a mountain, and we've used this analogy, I've used this analogy for quite often, and talking about about apex, about thinking to the top and beyond mountain. The mountain is only, to climb that mountain, you're going to use a certain process. You're going to use a certain procedure. You're going to need certain resources and maybe a team, depends on the mountain. And then you're going to climb so far, but there's going to be something that you're not prepared for. And you're going to have to, on the fly, be even more creative than you thought to get to the top, to get beyond. Something's going to challenge you, and that's what it is with us. We have certain things that we need to be more effective in. So when you're on that island and you are left with only one choice out of 4, Lego, drawing supplies, something to read, or something to play with, a game, what would be the most creative? What will occupy your time? What will stretch you? There's many tests out there, and in Wikipedia it says most of those tests don't really measure creativity quotient, but it's an important part of us. There's been study on this creativity aspect of us. So we've talked about PQ, about physical quotient, and how to leverage that. CQ's not as mentioned as much. We go with, in essence, IQ. We've talked about EQ. We've talked about spiritual, about SQ. And those are primarily the 3 that get the most attention. But creativity quotient is very much a part of what we do every day, or should be. So here's an easier test than doing something like figuring out whether you're on an island or not. Just look at your team. And when your team is working on a problem, do they just go to the basics, or are they stretching to come up with a solution? Is there somebody in the group that pushes them further? Is there an environment? Are you creating the environment to go further? Are you really working on something that's greater within your team? You will go farther. You'll go with more people. They will become your fans. And they will make your day even better, because it will empower you. It will engage you. It will put a fire within you to go further, to do more, to have an even more creative life. We are called to be creative. Just as much as I'm reading in these videos, this thought sharing, this opportunity to talk one-on-one helps us to get more creative and to be more effective and to have a greater, more effective life. Lisa says, I think I'll choose colored pencils this time. So what are we doing? Are we going to draw? Or are we just going to take something that's already pre-made and that'll occupy our time, and then we'll get bored and fall asleep, but we won't walk away any better for it? We're not imitators of art or imitators of what's going around us. We're creating something and taking it and transforming it within our minds, within our lives, and making it something greater. Something that hasn't been seen before. Only you as a unique person can take that and make it better. But it'll go further if you take and bring others with you. Spend the time today. Spend the time when you listen to this recording. Each day, figure out, take 5 minutes, and find out what you could do to be more creative today. What can you do to have your team be more creative? it will pay off in the end because you'll have a happier, more creative team day after day. Be well. Take care. We'll see you Monday.